Don't ever find yourself optimizing for its own sake. Don't make frugality your identity. Build a life where you know exactly what you value, then ruthlessly eliminate everything else, and spend what remains without guilt and without apology. Identify your no's, then find your yes, and drive it home. Hello friends, this is Tyler Gardner welcoming you to another episode of your Money Guide on the Side, where it is my job to simplify what seems complex, add nuance to what seems simple, and learn from and alongside some of the brightest minds in money, finance, and investing. So let's get started and get you one step closer to where you need to be. Quick note before we get into it. May's pre-order incentive for my book, Real Wealth, is now live. When you pre-order this month, I'm sending you 2 chapters that didn't make the final cut. Chapters I genuinely love and wish I could have kept, delivered digitally in early June. Pre-ordering also locks you in for every monthly incentive between now and the December 1st release. Go to tylergardner.com/book, click the button that says claim my bonuses, upload your receipt, takes 2 minutes, and you're in. Now, on with the show. I want to talk today about the second most expensive thing you will ever buy. Not your house, not your retirement, the things sitting in your driveway right now, quietly losing value at a rate that would make a financial advisor physically ill if you applied the same logic to your portfolio. Your car. The average American spends roughly $12,000 per year on vehicle ownership. When you add up the payment, insurance, gas, maintenance, and depreciation. $12,000 per year. For most people, that is more than they put into their 401k, which is a sentence I would like you to sit with for a moment before we continue. Now, I'm not here today to tell you that cars are evil or that you should be taking the bus. I live in Vermont. The bus situation here is not going to carry me through a February morning. I am here to tell you that the car decision, specifically which car you buy, whether it's new or used, and how you finance it, is one of the most consequential financial decisions most people make on a semi-regular basis. And most people make it almost entirely on emotion while wearing the financial equivalent of a blindfold. So today, we're going to try to remove at least part of that blindfold. We're going to look at some actual data, depreciation curves, insurance premiums, maintenance costs, fuel economy, reliability ratings, and I'm going to give you the 5 worst cars you could buy from a purely financial perspective and the 5 best. And I promise you, by the end of this episode, you are either going to feel very smug about your current vehicle or mildly devastated and ready and able and willing to write me a nasty note telling me I'm a complete ding-dong. Possibly both simultaneously, depending on what's in your driveway. And, as always, before we get into it, if this podcast has been helpful to you in any way, if it has made you think or laugh or share it with a friend who might need the reminders, please consider leaving a review on Apple or Spotify, as it helps me know that I'm not just crafting 40 minutes of content each week for an audience of bloodhounds who, I should mention, have never once left a review, despite being present for every single recording. And one more thing before we get into the framework. At the end of this episode, I'm going to tell you exactly what I drive. Not what I recommend, what I actually drive. The vehicle that is sitting in my driveway right now that I just signed for 48 hours ago. And I will tell you up front, it is not on the best list. It is not even close to the best list. It is the kind of vehicle that would make my own financial advisor look at me with the quiet disappointment of a person who has heard this before. But I'm going to explain exactly why I drive it, and I think if you listen to the whole argument, hopefully you'll understand, maybe even agree. Possibly. That's at the end. First, the framework. How to actually think about a car purchase. Before we get to the lists, I want to give you a framework because I think most people are evaluating cars on exactly the wrong variables. When you walk into a dealership, or more likely when you start browsing online at 11 o'clock at night in a moment of aspirational weakness, you're typically thinking about 3 things: how it looks, how it drives, and whether you can technically afford the monthly payment. These are all, I say this with respect, the wrong things. The variables that actually determine what a car costs you are depreciation, insurance, fuel, maintenance, and potential financing. In that order. The sticker price is almost irrelevant compared to the total cost of ownership over 5 to 10 years. A $25,000 Toyota Corolla and a $45,000 BMW 3 Series will cost you very different amounts over a decade, and the difference has almost nothing to do with the $20,000 gap at purchase. Toyota's 10-year maintenance cost runs approximately $4,500 to $6,000. BMW's 10-year maintenance costs run approximately $17,000 to $20,000. That gap, roughly $13,000 over 10 years, not counting the purchase price difference, not counting the insurance premium difference, not counting the depreciation difference, exists before you have a single interesting problem. By year 7, BMWs often face what mechanics call the big ones: cooling system overhauls, oil housing gasket leaks, suspension airbag failures. A single major BMW repair, such as a turbocharger replacement or transmission electronic fault, can cost upwards of $4,000, which is more than some Toyotas cost to maintain for 5 years straight. I'm not telling you BMW makes a bad car. I'm telling you BMW makes an expensive car, and the expense doesn't end at the dealership. With that framing in place, here are the worst offenders in ascending order of financial damage. Number 5, any luxury German car over 5 years old. BMW, Audi, Mercedes-Benz. I want to be precise here because I think the framing matters. I'm not saying don't buy a new German luxury car, although I have opinions about that too. I'm specifically talking about buying one that's over 5 years old, which is exactly the price point that makes these cars look like a bargain and is exactly where the financial trap snaps shut. Here's what happens. A 3-year-old BMW 5 Series that's stickered for, let's say, $65,000 is now sitting on a used car lot for $32K. Looks like a deal. Someone else has already taken the depreciation hit. It has leather seats, ambient lighting, and a sound system that makes your garage sound like Carnegie Hall. And the previous owner absorbed all of that depreciation. So you're getting a luxury car for half price. What is not to love about that? Well, what's not to love is that the warranty has expired. BMW engines often have under trays and specific bolt patterns that require more time to access, and dealership labor rates for certified technicians are significantly higher than standard shops. A standard BMW oil change costs between $150 and $250 compared to $50 to $80 for a Toyota. And that's just the oil change. That's the routine event. The non-routine events, the ones that arrive without warning, usually sometime midweek, are where it gets genuinely, I'll say, creative. Consumer Reports data shows that European luxury marques, including Audi, BMW, Land Rover, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, and Volvo, cluster at the bottom of their maintenance cost rankings, representing the most expensive brands to own over time. The gap between these brands and something like a Toyota or Honda isn't marginal. It's thousands of bucks per year once the warranty expires. So the German luxury car over 5 years old is the financial equivalent of buying a beautiful old house with a history of plumbing problems. It looks magnificent, the bones are excellent, and approximately every 8 months, something is going to happen that will make you stare at a repair estimate with the stillness of a person reconsidering their entire life narrative to date. A $10,000 repair bill is not a question of if, it is a question of when. This episode is brought to you by Whisperflow. Look, I have a confession to make. I am an absurdly fast typer. We're talking 120 words a minute in 8th grade, the kind of kid who crushed Mavis Beacon and made his middle school typing teacher genuinely emotional. I've spent my entire adult life believing that the bottleneck in my writing was not the typing. Then I started using Whisperflow, And it turns out, even at 120 words a minute, you can talk roughly 3 times faster than you can type. I did not see this coming, and my 8th grade self is, frankly, a little devastated. And now I draft podcast scripts, social captions, and newsletter sections by just talking. Whisperflow turns it all into clean, ready-to-send text inside Slack, Notion, ChatGPT, Claude, or anywhere I'd otherwise be typing. It cleans up filler words, handles mid-sentence corrections, and gets names right the first time. No setup, works in any app on any device, even works on a walk in the woods with the bloodhounds, which is, increasingly, where most of my best ideas show up. Try Whisperflow free for a month by heading to whisperflow.ai/Tyler. That's whisperflow.ai/Tyler. This episode is brought to you by Copilot Money. I have a group chat with 4 of my closest friends from my finance days. Between us, decades of managing other people's money, multiple licenses, and an embarrassing amount of opinions about actively managed funds. These are not people who download budgeting apps. These are people who tend to mock budgeting apps. And yet, every single one of them uses Copilot Money. The group text now contains, between bond market commentary and Bills game updates, sincere love letters to a finance app. One texted last week, "I finally feel like my financial life is in one place." That's from a guy who manages 8-figure portfolios. Here's why people who actually know money land here. It tracks spending, net worth, investments, savings goals, and budgets in one dashboard. And it's beautiful to look at, which shouldn't matter, but does when you're building a habit. It auto-categorizes transactions, it tracks subscriptions, so you'll finally find the streaming service you forgot about and the gym membership you've been emotionally lying to yourself about since February. It works across iPhone, iPad, Mac, and web. And, best part, they don't sell your data. It's the only personal finance app to win an Apple Editor's Choice Award, an Apple Design Awards finalist, and it has 4.8 stars from over 28,000 reviews. So go to copilot.money/Tyler, use code Tyler2, that's Tyler and the number 2, for 2 free months. That's copilot.money/Tyler. Number 4. I know this is going to get some comments. The Jeep Wrangler. I want to be careful here because I know the Jeep Wrangler occupies a unique cultural position in the American automotive landscape. People do not merely own Wranglers. They belong to them. They identify with them. There are hand gestures. There's a wave. There's a community built entirely around the shared experience of owning a vehicle that is objectively impractical and doing so with the serene confidence of people who have decided that impractical is actually the point. I understand this. I respect this. The Wrangler is genuinely fun and genuinely capable and has a romance to it that a Toyota RAV4 will never replicate. Not in a million years. Not even if Toyota hired a poet to write the marketing copy. But we are talking about finances today, and financially, the Wrangler has some issues. We'll start with the fuel economy. Approximately 18 miles per gallon in a vehicle that people buy specifically to drive aggressively outdoors. So if you drive 15,000 miles per year at $3.50 a gallon, you're spending roughly $2,900 annually on gas. In a 30 mile per gallon sedan on the same mileage, you're spending about $1,750. That's a difference of over $1,000 a year, every year, for the privilege of a boxy silhouette and removable doors that you will remove approximately twice and then leave on because it's Vermont and it's cold for 8 months a year. Over 5 years, the fuel premium alone is nearly $6,000. That's real money. That's what personal finance people call a lifestyle tax, the price you pay for the gap between what you want and what makes sense. Reliability also deserves a mention. J.D. Power's 2025 Vehicle Dependability Study placed Jeep near the bottom, with Chrysler, which shares the Stellantis parent company, also ranking among the lowest. The Wrangler specifically has known issues with transmission, electrical systems, and perhaps most Wrangler of all, a death wobble at highway speeds that is exactly as alarming as it sounds. So if you want a Wrangler, if you want to take those Instagram photos, I'm not here to stop you. But buy it used, drive it joyfully, wave at other Wrangler owners with a specific hand gesture that means we both have made a financially questionable decision and we are at peace with it. Number 3, the Range Rover. Any model. The Range Rover is the automotive equivalent of a first-class airplane seat. Extraordinary while you're in it, devastating when you see what it cost. Let's start with depreciation, which is where the Range Rover truly distinguishes itself. The Land Rover Range Rover depreciates 61.7% over 5 years, according to IC Cars, one of the worst depreciation rates of any vehicle on the market. That's not a typo. A $90,000 Range Rover is worth roughly $35,000 in 5 years. You've lost approximately $55,000 in value on a depreciating asset while also paying insurance, maintenance, and fuel. The depreciation alone works out to roughly $11,000 per year, every year before you've had a single problem. Land Rover also ranks among the most expensive brands to maintain over a 10-year period, with Consumer Reports data placing it at the very bottom of their maintenance cost rankings. Worse than Audi, worse than BMW, worse than Mercedes-Benz. Not to mention, the electrical system on a Range Rover is a subject that comes up frequently among Range Rover owners themselves, always with the same slightly haunted expression of someone describing an event they're still processing. It is extraordinarily sophisticated, it is extraordinarily temperamental, and there's a reason that Range Rover in the shop is its own genre of automotive complaint. And that reason is a complex web of sensors and modules that communicates in a language that only Land Rover certified technicians can translate at Land Rover certified technician prices. The Range Rover is a magnificent vehicle. It is also a wealth transfer mechanism disguised as an SUV. Number 2, any brand new luxury truck unless you actually need it. And most people do not need a brand new luxury truck. Here's where I anticipate the most pushback. And I want to be precise about my argument because I am not anti-truck, as you'll see at the end of this episode. Trucks are genuinely useful machines. If you are a contractor, a farmer, someone who regularly tows equipment, someone who hauls materials for work, a truck makes complete economic sense. You're using it as a tool, and tools justify their cost. But the data is clear that the majority of truck buyers do not use their trucks as tools in any meaningful sense. Studies consistently show that the majority of full-size truck owners rarely or never use the truck bed for hauling in any meaningful way. The average full-size truck tows nothing most of the time while getting roughly 18 to 20 miles per gallon in a vehicle that now costs $60,000 at the base trim. The F-150, America's best-selling truck for 49 consecutive years and best-selling vehicle of any kind for 44 straight, which tells you everything about American psychology and nothing about financial rationality. Starts at around $35,000 for a basic work truck and rapidly escalates to $65,000 plus for the trims most people actually want to buy. New car depreciation averages around 45% over 5 years across all vehicles. So for a $60,000 truck, that's roughly $27,000 gone in 5 years before you've accounted for gas, insurance, or a single repair. The new truck buyer is paying a significant premium for something they could accomplish with a used truck at half the price, a rental truck twice a year at $100 a day, or simply by acknowledging that the truck they bought is a lifestyle vehicle, pricing it accordingly, and making peace with that decision. There is nothing wrong with a lifestyle vehicle. There is something financially significant about calling it something else. And number 1, a financed Tesla. I want to be very careful here because I think Tesla makes a genuinely impressive car. And I also think the financial case for a financed Tesla is genuinely alarming in ways people don't fully account for at the point of purchase. Let's run a couple numbers. You finance a Tesla Model Y, currently around $45,000 to $50,000 depending on trim. At 7% interest over 60 months, your total repayment is somewhere around $59,000 to $65,000. You've paid roughly $14,000 in interest on a depreciating asset before insurance, before charging costs, before the part where we talk about what happens when something goes wrong. Tesla insurance is notoriously expensive. Tesla's pricing has fluctuated significantly, and depreciation on used Teslas has been severe, making it hard to make a case for used Teslas at current pricing. The insurance premiums reflect the repair costs, which are high because Tesla has a proprietary repair network, meaning that when you need bodywork or a significant repair, your options are limited to Tesla-certified shops, which creates exactly the pricing pressure you'd expect from a market with limited competition. The depreciation story on Tesla has been equally dramatic. The Tesla Model S loses approximately 65% of its original value over 5 years, according to IC Cars data, one of the steepest depreciation curves of any vehicle in any category. The Model Y and Model 3 have fared somewhat better, but still depreciate faster than comparable gas vehicles, partly because Tesla regularly cuts new car prices, which is wonderful for new buyers and catastrophic for people who financed a Tesla 6 months earlier and are now underwater on a loan for a car that's worth meaningfully less than what they owe. The electric vehicle ownership math can work, but it works best when you buy with cash or minimal financing, when you own the vehicle long enough for the fuel savings to offset the higher purchase price, and when you have realistic expectations about what the repair and insurance economics look like. The financed Tesla at 7%, driven for 3 to 4 years before trading in, is about the least favorable version of this math available to a consumer. Now, quick note on this list before we move on, an honest caveat. The Jeep Wrangler's depreciation is a little better than average. Wranglers hold their value reasonably well compared to most vehicles, which is worth acknowledging. The financial case against it rests primarily on fuel costs and reliability, not resale. And the new truck depreciation number varies meaningfully depending on trim level and market conditions. So during the COVID supply shortage, trucks did hold value unusually well. Now, the broader point stands: if you're not using it as a tool, you're paying tool prices for a lifestyle vehicle. But the specific numbers are more variable than the others on the list, and I'd rather you know that than not. This episode is brought to you by Built. You've heard me talk about Built as the loyalty program that lets you earn points on rent wherever you live, and they just leveled up even more. As of 2026, homeowners can also earn up to 1.25x points on their mortgage payments. This is thanks to Built's 3 new credit cards: the Palladium card, Obsidian card, and Blue card. All 3 turn your housing payments, rent, or mortgage into flexible rewards, so you can choose the card that fits your lifestyle without missing out on points and exclusive benefits. Built points can be redeemed at top airlines and hotels, Amazon.com purchases, future rent payments, and more. Built points have also been ranked by top publications as the industry's most valuable point currency. Your housing payment is already your biggest expense. Make it your most rewarding. Find the card that fits your lifestyle and apply it today at joinbuilt.com/Tyler. That's joinbilt.com/Tyler, and make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Terms and limitations apply. Subject to approval and eligibility, Built cards are issued by Column NA, member FDIC, pursuant to license from MasterCard International Incorporated. This episode is brought to you by Fabric by Gerber Life. Having spent most of my adult life in personal finance, I can tell you that term life is one of the few decisions in this entire field that is unambiguously a no-brainer. It is cheap, it is simple, and the version of you who needs it badly will be glad you took it seriously today. If someone depends on your income, a partner, a child, an aging parent, and you do not have a term life policy in place, please move this to the top of your priority list this week. Fabric by Gerber Life is term life insurance you can get done today. Made for busy parents like you, all online, on your schedule right from your couch. You could be covered in 10 minutes, often with no health exam required. $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can cancel anytime. Fabric has partnered with Gerber Life, trusted by millions of families like yours for over 50 years. So join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/Tyler, meetfabric.com/Tyler, and use my link so they know I sent you. MEET fabric.com/Tyler. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. Now, let's get to the 5 best cars you could ever buy, again, financially speaking. These are the vehicles that make your accountant emotional with respect and gratitude. Number 5, a used Honda Civic 3 to 5 years old. The Honda Civic has an average annual repair cost of $362. Compare that to an average of $526 for compact cars and $652 for all vehicle models. The Civic specifically averages around $368 annually in maintenance. It gets 36 miles per gallon, it is extraordinarily reliable, and when you buy one that's 3 to 5 years old, you've let the original owner absorb the steepest part of the depreciation curve, which for a Civic represents the most significant financial discount available in the used car market. A 2021 or 2022 Honda Civic in reasonable condition can run $15,000 to $20,000. You'll drive it for 10 to 15 years with nothing more than oil changes, tires, and the occasional brake job. The total cost of ownership over that period, including purchase price, is competitive with virtually any vehicle on the market at any price point. The Honda Civic is the index fund of automobiles. It's not exciting. It will get you where you're going. It will not make you feel anything in particular about yourself. And in 15 years, you will have spent dramatically less money on transportation than the person who bought the luxury SUV in the next parking space down, who is now at the dealer getting a quote on something else that's expensive. Number 4, a used Toyota Camry, 3 to 5 years old. The Camry is like the Civic's older sibling, with slightly more interior room and an identical financial logic. Toyota's average annual repair cost across all models is about $440 per year, again compared to $652 for the industry average. It's a gap of roughly $210 a year, every year for as long as you own the vehicle. The Camry holds its value with a stubbornness that borders on the philosophical. It's one of the most reliable vehicles in RepairPal's entire database. It gets 32 miles per gallon, and perhaps most importantly for the financially minded among us, it is boring enough that insurance companies charge you much less for it, because the data shows that people who drive Camrys are not the people showing up in actuarial tables in interesting ways. Boring equals cheap insurance. Cheap insurance is money you keep. Money you keep is money you can invest that compounds. That's the whole game. A 2020 or 2021 Camry runs $20,000 to $25,000 used. Drive it for 10 years, sell it for $8,000, and your total cost of ownership is extraordinarily competitive with any vehicle in any category. Number 3, the Mazda CX-5 used. If you genuinely need an SUV, and I want to gently interrogate whether you genuinely need an SUV before we proceed, because sometimes I need an SUV is a complete sentence, and sometimes it is the beginning of a longer conversation about identity. The Mazda CX-5 is a financially defensible answer. It gets 28 miles per gallon on the highway. It has a lower insurance premium than a comparable Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4 because Mazda's repair costs are slightly lower, and insurers know this. Its depreciation curve is reasonable. The interior quality is genuinely impressive. Mazda has spent a decade building cars that feel more expensive than they are, which is the exact opposite of what luxury brands do. A 2020 or 2021 CX-5 in the $22,000 to $27,000 range gives you a genuinely capable SUV with excellent reliability, solid fuel economy, and a total cost of ownership that won't cause you to do arithmetic at red lights in a cold sweat. The CX-5 is what happens when a car company decides that the best marketing strategy is to build something really good and charge a fair price for it. I know, crazy. Number 2, the Toyota Prius. Any year. The Prius has spent 2 decades being the punchline of a joke told by people who haven't done the math. So let's do the math. The Prius gets 50 plus miles per gallon. You drive 15,000 miles per year at $3.50 a gallon. Your annual fuel cost is approximately $1,050. In a 25 miles per gallon average vehicle, that number's $2,100. The difference, over $1,000 a year, and over 10 years accounting for some fuel price variation, you're looking at $10,000 to $12,000 in fuel savings on a car that costs $25,000 to $28,000 new and holds its value better than almost anything in its class. Hybrid vehicles are among the best segments for retained value, losing approximately 40% of their value after 5 years, significantly better than the 45% industry average for all vehicles, and dramatically better than the 58% average for electric vehicles. And Toyota dominates the hybrid rankings. Now, the hybrid battery concern, the one people raise as the killer objection to the Prius ownership, has been largely resolved by 20 years of real-world data. Toyota Prius batteries routinely last 150 to 200,000 miles. Replacement costs have dropped significantly. That concern did make sense in 2004. In 2026, it is approximately as valid as worrying that your microwave will explode. Toyota's maintenance costs are also the lowest of any manufacturer studied, with the Prius specifically living up to its well-known reputation for reliability and appearing consistently among the lowest cost vehicles to maintain. The Prius is the answer to a question most people are afraid to ask, which is, what if I just wanted a car that cost me as little as possible to operate over the longest period possible? The Prius heard that question, it took it seriously, and it has built the answer in itself. Number 1, any Toyota Corolla made after 2015. I saved this one for last because I think it deserves a moment of your attention. The Toyota Corolla has a reliability rating of 4.5 out of 5, ranking first out of 36 compact cars. The average annual repair cost is about $360, again compared to $526 for compact cars, $652 for all vehicle models. The probability of a repair being severe or major is 7%, compared to 12% for all vehicle models. 7%. The probability that any given repair on a Toyota Corolla is going to be major is 7%. On a BMW, that number is a little higher. On a Range Rover, it is still a little higher. The Corolla is Toyota's reliability thesis statement. Everything about it is designed to reduce stress, heat, and complexity. Problems are discovered early, fixes are widely implemented, and part availability is unmatched. The Corolla does not inspire passion, but it does inspire lifelong confidence. Corollas routinely run 200,000 miles with routine maintenance. The insurance is cheap because insurance companies have decades of data on Corolla drivers, and that data is very boring, which in actuarial terms is an extraordinary compliment. The fuel economy is excellent, the resale value is strong, and used models in the $15,000 to $20,000 range represent one of the most reliable per dollar transportation options available to any consumer at any income level. Here's the financial case stated as simply as I can make it. Toyota 10-year maintenance cost runs approximately $4,500 to $6,000. BMW 10-year maintenance cost approximately $17,000 to $20,000. Again, that's a $13,000 difference over 10 years, and that is before accounting for the purchase price gap or the insurance difference or the depreciation differential. It represents money that went somewhere. In one scenario, it went to a series of repair invoices. In the other, it went to your retirement account or a brokerage account and is now doing something considerably more useful to your future net worth. The Toyota Corolla is not going to win the awards for excitement. It is not going to make your neighbors look up from their phones when you pull into the driveway. It is not going to make you feel like a person whose vehicle choices communicate something important about who you are. It is going to start every morning. It is going to run for 20 years, and it is going to cost you less than almost anything else on the road. That, in personal finance terms, deserves an absolute standing ovation. Before we wrap this up, a quick word for my fellow New Englanders, because I know what you're thinking. Tyler, I live in Vermont. I need all-wheel drive. The Corolla is lovely, but February doesn't care about your dang fuel economy stats. That is completely fair, and this is where I get to give the honorable New England mention, Subaru, the unofficial state bird of Vermont, and roughly 40% of every parking lot in New England. If you go to Killington Ski Resort, you actually can get front row parking just for owning a Subaru. And the financial case for a used Subaru Forester or Crosstrek is genuinely strong for anyone who actually needs all-wheel drive as a non-negotiable. Subaru ranked second in Consumer Reports brand reliability rankings in 2025, just behind Lexus and ahead of Toyota. Average annual repair costs run approximately $600, a little higher, above Toyota, but well below the industry average when you account for the fact that all-wheel drive is standard on virtually every model, meaning you're not paying extra for a feature you'd be adding anyway on a competitor. The Forester and Crosstrek hold their value reasonably well, parts are widely available, and dealers in New England are everywhere, which matters more than people realize when something goes wrong at 7 a.m. on an idle morning in January. I'll also note with a completely straight face that I'm recording this episode approximately 48 hours after returning my own Subaru Outback to a dealer, a car that I genuinely loved because Subaru changed the new model and I didn't love the new model, which is perhaps the most on-brand possible disclosure for an episode about financial car decisions. Do as I say, not necessarily as I do. The Corolla is still number one, but if you need all-wheel drive and you're north of Connecticut, the used Forester deserves an honorable mention on the right side of this list. Now, one quick honest caveat here too, the Mazda CX-5 depreciates a little faster than I implied. It's a little closer to 45 to 50% over 5 years, which is fine when you're buying it used and letting someone else absorb that curve, but worth knowing if you're buying new. Its real strengths are reliability, lower insurance premiums, and build quality relative to price, not exceptional resale value. And while the Toyota numbers are the most extensively documented on this list, drawn from RepairPal's database of millions of repair invoices, individual results will always vary based on mileage, driving habits, and whether you're the kind of person who actually changes the oil on schedule, which more people claim to be than actually are. Okay. Let me wrap this up and put the two extremes side by side because I think the cumulative number is the one that might have a shot at changing behavior. Person A buys a new Range Rover for $90,000, finances it at 7% over 60 months, pays $1,800 per month, spends roughly $3,500 per year on maintenance and repairs, pays elevated insurance, loses $55,000 in depreciation over 5 years, trades it in. Person B buys a used Toyota Corolla for $18,000, pays cash or minimal financing, spends $362 per year on maintenance, pays basic insurance, drives it for 10 years, sells it for $7,000. The 10-year gap in total transportation costs between these two choices is somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000, not counting what happens if person B invested the difference, not counting the compounding. Just the raw transportation cost delta, $100,000 for a similar result getting from here to there. I'm not saying buy the Corolla, I'm saying know what you're paying for the alternative, and then decide with your eyes open. So, in closing, here are 3 questions I'd answer before buying any vehicle. Number 1, what is the 5-year total cost of ownership, not the monthly payment? Number 2, am I buying this new when used is available? And number 3, is the car I want in category 1 or category 2 of today's list? Here's what I want to leave you with. Car decisions are emotional decisions wearing financial clothing. We tell ourselves we need the truck. We tell ourselves the German sedan is actually quite reliable. We tell ourselves the Tesla makes financial sense because of the fuel savings, but we haven't run the insurance and depreciation numbers. The data doesn't care about anything above. Electric vehicles and luxury models consistently dominate the list of cars that lose the most value over 5 years, while Toyota is the most prominent brand for retained value, holding multiple spots among the top performers. The pattern is consistent, it is documented, and it has been true for decades. The best financial car decision is almost always buy reliable, buy used, buy boring, drive it into the ground. The Corolla, the Civic, the Camry, the Prius. The vehicles that don't make you feel anything when you're driving them except the satisfaction of a person who knows where their money went and is not explaining it weekly to a mechanic. You might hate driving it. You will love what's possible with the money you didn't spend on something else. Now, all of that said, I promised you a reveal, and here it is. I just leased a 2026 GMC Sierra Denali 1500. Brand new, fully loaded. It is enormous. It is powerful. It is exactly the kind of vehicle that I should not be endorsing on today's episode. And I am completely at peace with this decision. Here's why. I live in a house that is modest by any reasonable definition of the word. I have a capsule wardrobe that consists at last count of 2 pairs of the same pants, several Target t-shirts, and 1 Filson vest that you have seen me wearing for about 3 years now. I have flown first class exactly twice in my life. I looked at the seat, I looked at the price, I decided it was not the ratio of experience to cost that I require, and I have flown coach on every flight since. I say no to a lot of things, consistently and without drama. The house that impresses nobody. The wardrobe that requires 0 decisions in the morning. The airplane seat that gets me to the same place at a third of the price. The restaurant where I do not order the wine because I have done that math and the math is not kind. I say no to almost all of it. But the truck I say yes to because I am simply, completely, embarrassingly obsessed with driving a beautiful truck. It is my one vice. It is the single category where the financial case dissolves on contact with how I actually feel when I get behind the wheel. And because I have said no to so many other things, the house, the wardrobe, the first class seat, the $20 cocktail, I have the financial room to say yes to the one thing that really matters to me without it mattering to my long-term picture at all. This is, I think, the actual point I want all of you to take from today's episode about personal finance. Don't ever find yourself optimizing for its own sake. Don't make frugality your identity. Build a life where you know exactly what you value, then ruthlessly eliminate everything else, and spend what remains without guilt and without apology. The Corolla is still the right financial answer for most people. I believe everything I have said in this episode, and I am still going to fly past you in a Sierra Denali with cooling seats and a sound system that is objectively unreasonable and completely unnecessary for most people. Identify your no's, then find your yes, and drive it home. As always, hope this gives you something to think about throughout the week ahead. Thanks for tuning in to your Money Guide on the Side. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to visit my website at tylergardner.com for even more helpful resources and insights. And if you are interested in receiving some quick and actionable guidance each week, don't forget to sign up for my weekly newsletter, where each Sunday I share 3 actionable financial ideas to help you take control of your money and investments. You can find the sign-up link on my website, tylergardner.com, or on any of my socials at socialcapofficial. Until next time, I'm Tyler Gardner, your money guide on the side, and I truly hope this episode got you one step closer to where you need to be.